Hi everyone, I'm Giancarlo Caltabiano. I'll be your host and your reviewer for this game, Lost Cities, the board game. The board game because there was Lost Cities, the card game, which did come with a board. In Lost Cities, you control a team of adventurers seeking the 5 lost cities. To set up, place the board in the middle of the table and randomly fill the white areas with special tokens. Give each player the same colored Explorer pawn and 1 Researcher pawn. Shuffle the deck of cards and deal 8 to each player. Place the deck next to the board and you're now ready to play. Your turn simply consists of you playing a card and then drawing a card. When you play a card, you can play it in front of you and then place one of your pawns on the start of the same colored track. You can only have one of your pawns on each track. Now, if you already have a card in front of you of that color, you must play the same card with a number equal to or higher than the previous card there. When you play a card in front of you, your pawn will move up 1 spot on that track. If you can't or don't want to play a card in front of you, you can play it in the discard pile of its color next to the board. Once you've played 1 card, you get to draw 1 card from either the deck or 1 from the top of any discard pile. If your pawn is already at a lost city and you play a card of that color in front of you, you can move any other one of your pawns up 1 space. Now let's talk about the board tiles. When you land on an artifact tile, you take it for later use. If you land on victory point tile, you take that much in victory points and the tile remains on the track. When you land on this tile, you can move any one of your pawns up 1 space. That tile remains there for others to use as well. And when there are 5 Explorer pieces in total across the bridges of each track, the expedition ends and you do a scoring round. First, each of your pawns gets the points written on the stone they're at. The researchers will give you double points. Some of these might remove points, and the player who has artifact tokens replace the green ones with the beige ones. Finally, each player take back their pawns from the board, refresh the board by randomly placing all the tiles again, and shuffle all the cards to deal 8 new ones to each player. Start over and do 2 more expeditions. At the end of the 3rd expedition, calculate score and get victory points depending on the number of artifacts you have. This is written on this track. The player with the most total victory points wins and will forever be known as the discoverer of the Lost Cities. Lost Cities, the board game, is a very casual and simple game geared for beginners, which I think they might enjoy. Though whereas some other games would be great for core gamers as well, I don't think Lost Cities is one of them. The simple rule of playing a card will have you obviously play the lowest possible card from your hand, or one from a track where you think you can make the most use of whatever randomly placed token is there. So you do get this overall sense that sometimes the game plays you. Sometimes. So, half a point penalty there. Now, the option of playing a card in the discard is equivalent to you to losing a turn, and you're hoping to get the right colored numbered card from the top deck. So yes, luck plays a huge factor in this game, from drawing cards to the starting hand you're dealt. But you can play low cards to discard so nobody draws them, you say. Sure, but stopping them from advancing doesn't benefit you from advancing either. So even though there's some strategy to the game, they're mostly made for you. And they are not to place your pawns on all the tracks and hardly ever play a card in the discard. Play your low cards and hope for the best when drawing new cards. Now there is a variant which slightly gives you a little more control and we suggest you play with it. Instead of playing cards in ascending order, you can start a color with the highest card and work your way down. Whichever way you choose, however, you cannot switch midway. For that round, they must continue in ascending or descending order. I don't know what else to say. I mean, the components are good, the artwork fits with the theme, which really could have been anything. And admittedly, there is some player interaction if another explorer is on your track and you're racing for an artifact token. But this depends on whether you have the card or not with the right number and color. And if you want to try and end the expedition while you're ahead by advancing your 5th explorer across the bridge, again, these are very situational to the cards you have or need. Honestly, I don't know how much replay value this game has to offer before it gets to feel old and repetitive. But I can see some people liking this game, for beginners and families especially. But with so many better games out there for that group, and giving more experienced player the same enjoyment, I just don't see Lost Cities as a contender. It's not for us anyways. It gets a 5.5 out of 10.